Angry Robot presents this unabridged recording of The Offset by Calder Swezczak, read by Serena Matenghi. I will revenge my injuries. If I cannot inspire love, I will cause fear, and chiefly towards you, my arch-enemy, because, my creator, do I swear inextinguishable hatred. Have a care. I will work at your destruction, nor finish until I desolate your heart, so that you shall curse the hour of your birth. Mary Shelley, Frankensteiniker. Chapter 1. A hand over hers, the chafe of skin on skin, the first touch in months. Miri lashes out, thrusting an elbow hard into the stomach of the person who has come to stand too close. A tall figure, who neatly sidesteps the blow and, undeterred, presses forward. A dazzle-patterned scarf is bound over their mouth and nose, and above it are two black eyes that gleam like oil on water. Miri tries to draw away, but is not quick enough to escape the strong fingers that circle her wrist and restrain her. A rough slip of paper is pressed into her open palm. Then the fingers loosen their grip, releasing her, and the masked figure disappears into the crowd. Alone again at the edge of the square, Miri takes several steps back to shore up the distance between herself and the mass of people gathered there. Then she examines the paper. A flyer, bearing the usual line, "Say no to life," above a short quotation. She balls it up in her palm and shoves it into her pocket. She is only here to see the offset. She needs to see the execution, but the longer she waits, the harder it is to stay. The unexpected physical encounter has set her on edge. Without noticing, she starts pressing finger to thumb in a repetitive gesture she half recalls learning in childhood. There is, she thinks, a rhyme that should accompany the motion, but she cannot remember what it is. Something about an inchworm? No, a spider. A spider and a flood born of a cleansing rain that hammered the earth for 40 days and 40 nights. Or is that something else? Her brow creases into a frown as she tries to remember, but it's no good. All she has left is the mime. Finger, thumb, finger, thumb. There's something about it that makes her feel still, calm, as though that one repetitive movement is enough to slow her racing heart, her nerves transformed into kinetic energy and heat. For as long as she can keep it up, she is safe. Or should be. Right now it isn't working too well. The square is packed. Miri struggles with crowds at the best of times, and it's been a long time since she's seen so many people in one place. It's too much to contemplate. All those lives compacted together into one vast, sprawling beast. Even standing apart from the worst of it, the stench is inescapable. The pervasive musk of stale sweat beneath the occasional tang of urine and sulphur that wafts through in the heat. For one fleeting moment, Miri imagines herself standing atop the empty capital of the blackened pillar at the square's centre. From that giant height, the crowd becomes no more than squirming ants. In her mind's eye, she lifts a heavy bucket aloft and tips it until water comes pouring out, crashing down onto the masses below, flooding the square until it becomes a sea, a watery grave thick with the bodies of the drowned ants. Then, just as suddenly as it came, the image is gone. Now, when she glances at the crowd swarming around the base of the column, the vacant plinths, she sees herself as part of it, another cell of the fetid mass that grows like a blight in the earth. Her heart spasms with revulsion, and she stares down at her hands, focusing on the movement until the sense of stillness returns. Finger, thumb, finger, thumb. Slowly, she turns her attention to the feel of the November heat on her hands and face, the scratch of her threadbare shirt against her arms and back, willing her consciousness out into her skin to acknowledge the barrier that holds her together and keeps her separate from the world. It helps. When she next looks up, she observes the crowd with newly impassive eyes. Even so, she is neither quite brave nor foolish enough to relinquish the protection of the childish ritual. Finger, thumb, like a talisman to ward off evil. Now she's regained her composure, a wary voice in her head tells her to go, to leave now, rather than risk suffering again the sensation of being subsumed into the heaving crowd, or worse still, touched. But she can no more bring herself to turn away than she can learn to breathe underwater. Her place is in the square. She must stay and watch. She must give witness to the execution. She's not sure how long it's been since the last offset. She doesn't venture often into this part of the city. But, from the excited activity of the aging crowd, she figures that it must have been quite some time. The mass of bodies swirls with eddies and currents as people make their way through to meet old friends, to get a better spot, to get closer to the action. But there's no mistaking where the focus lies. The steps that ascend from the square to the gallery, an ancient building with a monolithic edifice of cracked white stone. For now, the gallery steps are empty, save for a glass-fronted booth that stands between two of the crumbling pillars. It's a broad, squat structure, purely functional in design and comprised of little more than painted timber frame and glass. What lies within the booth changes from offset to offset. Sometimes it contains gallows and sometimes a guillotine. Today it holds a wooden chair, tall and narrow with a number of broad leather straps hanging from it, rusted buckles trailing to the floor. A metal rod runs up the back of the chair like the frame of a medical drip, and a round metal bowl hangs from it at approximately head height. A thick wire leads from the metal rod to a generator at the back of the booth. Miri doesn't know anything about the person who is due to die in that chair, but she knows everything she needs to about the crime they have committed. It is the only crime still punishable by death the world over. The mortal sin of procreation. Historically, the transgression was voiced by one of suitable authority, a mayor, a judge, a religious leader, who stood before the crowd and explained that the offset was perfect retribution, exacting and brutal. How every birth, every act of creation, every new life threatened the fragile equilibrium of all things. That the imbalance had to be righted, and that the wages of sin was death. For every birth, a death, they would say, in recitation of the law. There is no such pronouncement any more, though. There is no need. The part of the crowd nearest the steps is thick with activists, including antinatalists baying for breeder blood. They are all dressed like the one who gave her the flyer, dazzle-patterned scarves bound about their faces. The banners they wave are daubed in red and depict graphic scenes of environmental destruction. Several bear the image of bloodied Ouroboros. Miri can't hear the slogans they chant, but she can guess their meaning. Save the planet. The earth is suffocating. No mercy for breeders. In their midst, Miri spots one or two people who don't look like antinatalists. They are white-haired and bear green spirals painted on their faces, and they are trying to tear down the banners. Miri thinks she could almost admire their courage if she didn't find their views so abhorrent. One of them has a crudely made megaphone and attempts to drown out the antinatalists' shouts, but only serves to silence the voices of their own group. Others in the crowd, those marked by neither Ouroboros nor green spiral, roll their eyes and laugh. Every offset is the same. The activists come in their droves to shout and mock, some in favour of the rituals and others against it. No one else pays them much heed. May as well protest the heat of the sun for all the difference it will make. Miri turns her eyes skywards. The sun is distant and remote, obscured behind the thick haze that permeates the city. Far off, a solitary tree rises up amongst the buildings, listing at a precarious angle, its charred branches stripped bare. Miri's eyes snag on its grim silhouette. For as long as the dead tree stands, it serves as a monument to the wildfires that coursed through the heart of London the summer before. Soon, though, it will fall, and the fires will recede in public memory until they are as hazy as the smog that even now chokes the streets. Even though Miri knows how easy it is to not see, and how much easier it is to forget, it still seems unbelievable to her that anyone could be quite as blind to their surroundings as those wearing the green spirals. They protest against the offset even as they stand within sight of the most recent.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?